Hey gamers, welcome to my game room. AJ from Rolling With Roc here. It's Monday, ROCtober 26th, and it's time to continue the countdown to number 1 of my top 67 board games of all time, with numbers 15 through 11. All throughout the month of ROCtober, I have been releasing content here on this YouTube channel. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays have been the top 67 board games of all time. Tuesdays is a ROC review where I take a deep dive into a board game. And Thursday is a ROC Reacts unboxing video where I unbox a game. Saturdays is Roc and Remy are playing and reviewing some kids games. We've done a couple of Hava games. Now we've done a blue-orange game as well. And this week especially is very important because today I'm doing 15 through 11. Wednesday will be 10 through 6. And Friday will be 5 through 1. Also, Sunday nights at 9 p.m. we go live on Twitch at twitch.tv/rollingwithroc. And we might even be going live. I go live random times as well throughout the week. You can go ahead and follow me and turn on notifications so you can get alerted when I go live. I have been streaming board games on Sunday nights, but I'll also be doing things like Among Us and Fall Guys. And I'm playing Switch games like Pokemon, Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, Sonic Mania, Super Mario 35, different things like that as well. So I hope you'd go ahead and join us over at twitch.tv/rollingwithroc, and a link to that and all of my socials is in the description down below. Just a quick reminder that these are my thoughts on games that I have played. There are lots of games out there, many of them that I haven't been able to get my hands on or been able to play or even seen played, so I cannot give my thoughts on those games. Please let me know what you think of the games that you've seen so far on the list using the comments down below. And let me know what you think of today's games as well. If there is a game that you haven't seen that you think that I should try out based off the other games that I do like, please go ahead and leave it in the comments and let me know. Remember, every time you leave a comment on a video labeled ROCtober, it gets you one entry into Board Game Trick or Treat that we are doing on Halloween Day or Halloween night, depending on when I actually decide to do it. And that will be a giveaway of board game content. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that as well. Remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel, leave a like and comments on this video if you're enjoying this content, and share it with a friend if you could do so. That would be wonderful. And with all of that out of the way, let's get right back into the top 67 board games of all time with number 15. Starting off our list today at number 15 is an auction, betting, hand management racing game done from Restoration Games, Downforce. And this is, I've never actually played a racing game prior to playing Downforce, I don't think. I may have, and I just don't equate it as a racing game, and that's something different. But this is like a racing game. And it's just really cool. So what you do, and I'll go ahead and start opening it up so that I can show you some of the components, because I'm going to definitely take a closer look at some of these games now that we're getting higher on the list. Because basically from this part on, it's not just games that I like, it's games that I absolutely love. And if any point somebody was like, I want to play this game, it's an instant yes for me. So I have a couple of extra components in our version, and we do have the Danger Circuit expansion. And I have the Wild Ride expansion on order. I just haven't received it yet. So Danger Circuit gives us an extra board. But I just want to show you the base board here, if I can get it out of the box. So this is your board, and I want to show you this first. It is just one big racetrack. If I can open it up without... There you go. Alright. So this is just one of the boards. So it's a nice big racetrack here. And you're going to have 6 racers on the racetrack. The normal cars look like this. They're like Formula 1 racing, not like NASCAR. So here is an example of the racing cars. And you have 6 cars in 6 different colors that are yellow, red, green, blue, orange, and black. Those are your standard cars in colors. And what you're going to do at the very beginning of the game, every player is given one of these downforce sheets. And you are going to get dealt a bunch of player cards that look like these, that will have different numbers and colors on them. So that has every color and number on it. But sometimes they will only have, like, that case that has 4. This one only has 1. So it depends on what cards you get. And you're going to get dealt equal number of cards per the number of players. Based off of the cards you have, you're going to want to bid on the cards to be like their owner. And to do that, you play a card from your hand. Whoever plays the card with the highest value for that color wins the bid for that driver, but you're also going to put an auction price on. So you're paying for that driver that amount. So if you put a 5 blue for blue, you're going to pay $5 for blue, which is fine. So you acquire your the cars that you get to own. And those are the ones that they will also come with a power. And since I have an expansion, I have a bunch of extra powers. But what you will do is you will take a driver card and a power and put them out. So you're not only bidding on the power, but you're bidding on the driver. You will keep all of your drivers. You will keep one of the power cards that you bid on. So that's interesting. And then once everybody has bid on their drivers, you take all your cards back into your hand. So you're not using them for the bidding. You're just showing your card, basically. You go ahead and put all the cars on the map here in the starting spot. And those cards and those numbers allow you to move the cars. So on your turn, let's say you play this card right here, 6 black, 4 red, 2 yellow, and 1 orange. You have to move those cars, those numbers of spaces, in that order, highest to lowest, unless you have a specific ability that says otherwise. So you have to move, even if you don't want to move black because it's somebody else's car, you have to move black 6. Now, you can try to get cars into positions to block them so they cannot do their movement. That is perfectly legal. But if it is a legal action to move the car, you must move the car. So each player will go through the game playing cards from their hand, trying to get their cars out in front. However, on the board, there are 3 yellow lines. You can see the yellow lines on the board across some of the streets there. They are betting lines. And so on your sheet here, you have 3 lines of betting. Bet 1, bet 2, bet 3. And the first bet is worth the most. First place is 9 million. Second place is 6 million. Third place is 3 million. When you get to the bet 3, it's only 3, 2, and 1. What you're doing is guessing who's going to podium. So if red is out to an early lead, you might say red. And now you only bet on 1 car. And if that car finishes first, second, or third, you will win money for it. This is where this game gets really interesting. Because in most racing games, you're controlling a character and you're trying to get that character to win. In this game, while it is still beneficial for your cars that you own to do well, you can also do really well with betting if for whatever reason one car is just doing really, really good, or you guess and that car ends up winning. You can make a lot of money from the bets. So you can still win this game, because ultimately the winner of the game is not who crosses the finish line first, it's who has the most money at the end of the game. So if you didn't spend a lot of money in the auction, you did well in bets, and then you did okay in racing payout, which is the finishing. You get 12 million for first, 9 for second, 6 for 2, and then 0 for 6th. It's a game where you can win the game without finishing first. And that's a really cool concept. In other games, I don't think I've seen that before, where it's not just a race to the finish line. It is literally, you have to manage your money. You have to use the right cards. You have to make sure your people end in the right spots. Oh, green got really far ahead. Let's make sure we bet on green so that we can at least recuperate those losses that we're going to get from green finishing first. But if I let green finish first and I win those bets, and then I get my cars to finish, let's say, second and third, I might have a chance. It just has a really cool system. It has an expansion that came with more powers and then a different board, and the board has different abilities on it. The base boards don't really have too much special about them. That board has different stuff. The Wild Ride expansion will have a new board and different things about it, including like animals and stuff on the track, which is really, really cool. But Downforce is just a really good quality game. It plays in, it says, BGG says 20 to 40 minutes. 30 minutes sounds about right for Downforce. And again, that's a sweet spot. You're going to see that a lot on games towards the top of this list. That is a sweet spot for me. That 30 to 40 range of a game is perfect. And it goes by fairly fast. This is a game that I believe you can play a digital version of on Board Game Arena. So if you haven't played Downforce yet, you could check that out. But it's not an expensive game. And I think it is definitely worth adding to your collection. Now that I've gotten all the official Downforce stuff out of the way, what I want to talk about is upgrading this game. And there's a specific way you upgrade this game. And it's called Mario Kart. So Downforce itself is great. You can play Downforce, it's great. But when you make it Mario Kart Downforce, it becomes even better. Now, there are alternate rules that people have used for this. Really, all I do is I use these Mario Kart figures instead of the cars. Now, the cars are fine. I have nothing against the cars. I think they're good quality components. But as a Mario Kart player, as someone who loves, I grew up playing Mario Kart. I loved Mario 64. I liked Mario Wii. Double Dash was, I know a lot of people like Double Dash. Double Dash was fine. And I love Mario Kart on the Switch. But I love playing Mario Kart. So we have these Mario Kart figures. These were actually additional player packs for a game called Monopoly Gamer Mario Kart Edition. I bought these as, and a lot of people, other people have too, as a extender piece for Downforce. You just use these in place of the regular cars. And it just makes it more fun for me. I love upgrading games. I love putting a little extra touch on them. And that's something really fun. Again, Downforce just in itself, great game. If you like Mario Kart though, I would say take a look at those because it's a lot of fun. But in at number 15 is the Racing Classic Restored Downforce from Restoration Games. Number 14. 14 on this list is a dice placement city building game set in a fantasy setting, and that is Kingsburg 2nd Edition from Z-Man's Games. And this is a game that really speaks to me as you've heard throughout this list. I really like dice games. I like dice placement games. This is a dice placement game. And here's the board. Now, this is the 2nd edition of the game. We technically have both editions between myself and our friend. I have 2nd edition here. My friend has 1st edition. The art style is a little different between 1st and 2nd, and I think I like the art style a little bit more in the 1st edition. But the 2nd edition comes with a lot of extra stuff, including expansions, and is openly available, whereas the 1st edition and its expansion are not as often available. So this is just, it's mostly the same game. The art style, just for me, I kind of like the 1st edition better, but the art in this is still good. And what you do is you have these 18 people that you can influence on the board. Starting at 1 all the way up to 18. 18 is the king, 17 is the queen, 1 is the jester. And you work your way down from there. When you roll your dice, you're going to have 3 dice you roll. And so you have, 1 through 6 on each die. You can allocate those dice on your turn however you wish to. You can use all those dice and allocate them to one person, or you can use 1 or 2 of those dice, allocate them to one, wait for it to come back around to you, and then use any dice you have left to allocate to another. So if you roll triple 6, you can allocate them to the king. But let's say you roll, 3, 4, and 5, and you want to try to maybe use them down here, you can do so. Or you can use the 3 and the 5 and put it on the 8. And then there are ways that you can manipulate your die rolls to be able to put them on different stuff throughout the game as well. And what these people do are allow you to collect different resources. So you can collect gold and wood, stone, victory points, combat points, which you need to fight. You always have invaders that come and attack you. You have to defend the kingdom. And then you play through 5 years. And these are where you get your battle points. The outside of the board, of course, is the victory track board. But it is just a very cool, succinct game. And just that alone would be cool. But what you do here is you have these player mats. And I'm going to go ahead and show you that. This is one side of the player mat. And that is the other side of the player mat. And this is where the city building aspect comes into the game. So these have different abilities on them, and you have to start on the left side and build from left to right in each column. And each one takes specific resources. This is why you're collecting the resources on the board, is so you can build these on here. And when you build them, then it gives you a power. It can also give you victory points and allow you to do different abilities. So you have to balance, getting, your die rolls determine basically where you can go, and then of course your positioning on the board. Because unless you have a specific power to do so, you can't share spots with other players. So if somebody else takes that spot, you're out of luck. Now you can manipulate your dice, or you could try to go first and get first player token, so that's also good. The component quality of this game is, actually, I like it. It's pretty decent. These are the dice in this game. So this is what one of the dice look like. That's actually really bright. Let me see if I can get one that's not as bright, maybe. Let's see if I try blue. The yellow was way too bright for the camera. So each player has like a different sigil on their tokens, but that's it. Yeah, there's their blue. So you got like all this fanciness on the outside, and then it just has the number on the inside, depending on what number. So it's not pips; it's specifically put a number on. But like, I'll go ahead and show you. There's blue's sigil, and that's on all their tokens. That was a bigger token, but like these little tokens here are what you use to mark off on your city map that you have completed that. And then there is expansions in here, but I don't think I've played with the... I think we have played with expansions a little bit, not too much. But these are also... So these are the barbarian cards, or the enemy cards that come and attack you. And in the first round, they're lower, but as the rounds go on, they become stronger. So in the first round, the strength is only 2 to 4. So not too high, but at the end of the game, your strength can be 7 to 9. And usually what these do is if you win, you get a small reward. If you lose, you get a big penalty. So you want to make sure these are not something you can just ignore. Because there's times where you can lose buildings that you've constructed, and it's always like one of your better ones. The way it determines it is like something, it's like the one farthest to the right. So the best building you've built so far is what you're going to lose, not just something low. You can lose victory points. You use, this one here is a barbarian. It's a level 7. If you beat it, you get 1 victory point. If you lose to it, you lose 8. That's what I'm kind of talking about. You do not want to ignore the barbarians in this game. But everybody plays together. It is a multiplayer game, but it is not something that, other than somebody taking the spot that you might want, people don't attack each other. It's very much a, everybody can play and do their own thing and build their own cities, but I can do it, I can do it without having to worry about, being attacked by other people. Just I have to worry about taking care of the barbarians. And it's, again, dice placement, I talked about a game similar to this in some ways in Dice City earlier on the list. I like this one more. Obviously, the mat really adds a lot of cool things with the player powers. I love the ability with the die. You roll the dice and then you have to choose, do I want to put all 3 dice on a certain character, or do I want to use 2 dice here and hope I can get this other die on the other spot? Because you could put your 5 and your 3 on the 8, and then I got this 4. And I hope that nobody puts it on the 4 before it comes back around to me, because if I do, then I'm not even going to get to place the 4. So what everybody rolled is known to you. You have to kind of look around and be like, are they going to use that there? And kind of make that decision when you play. But overall, it is a great game. It comes in at number 14 on my list of my top 67 games of all time. And that is Kingsburg, and this is the 2nd edition from Z-Man Games. Number 13. Number 13 on this list is, at its core, another racing game like Downforce, but this time the theme and the way you go about it is very different, and that is the quest for El Dorado from Ravensburger. And the reason why this is a different game from Downforce is you are going on an expedition into the jungles and the desert and the mountains to try to find the City of Gold, El Dorado. What you do to get there, instead of using hand management and bidding like you do in Downforce, you're using deck building. So you will have starting cards in your hand, just like you would in a lot of the other deck builders we talked about on this list so far. You're going to take your starting cards, use those to acquire better cards, and those cards allow you to move along the map. And what the map is these grids of tiles. Get everything out here. You're going to, based off how you want to play, and it has different map suggestions, you have these different colored tiles on them, and each one of them is set up a little bit differently. But there are 3 main tile spots on here. You have forest tiles, which are the green ones, and depending on the color of the green, how dense the forest is, you need machetes to clear the way. So if it's light green, you only need 1 machete, then 2 or 3. And you must play those, like you have to play cards that have those symbols on them. And you start off, you don't have the high machete cards, so you have to buy those using your cards. The second one is coins, which is like the desert area, the yellow. The coins help you get through those spaces. And then the last one is the blue spaces, which are paddles. And that's another resource that you have on your starting cards, and then cards that you can buy. Paddles can also, coins and paddles also can have multiple things. Paddles can go up to 3 paddles. Coins can go up to 4 coins. But again, coins are also how you buy other cards. So it's likely you're going to have more coins in your deck. There's also cards that like you have to discard tiles, you have to discard a card. So it looks like that. There's an up close. I think it has just about everything on there in some facet. You have the mountain tiles that are unpassable. You have your water, you have your forest, you have your desert. So you got everything on that tile. And what you do is it tells you how to put these together. So you're going to put them, some of them will be like that. Actually, they're slightly different. There are these little, where are they at here? These ones. You have these little barriers between them. So in this case, I'll go ahead and get this one. Between 2 tiles, you put a barrier, and it will look like that. And that's a water barrier with 1 paddle. The first player to get there has to spend this just like they were moving on to another tile. But then they take that away. They get that, and that counts towards tiebreakers at the end of the game. But once that's gone, then the 2 tiles come together, and nobody else has to worry about that. But what you are doing, let me go ahead and show you some of the cards. You're trying to buy these cards, which give you more stuff. So like, that's worth 3 coins, and you spend 3 coins to buy it. This is worth 5 machetes, but you spend 5 coins to buy that. This is a captain. He's worth 3 oars, but you spend 2 coins to get that. And these are just some of yours. Those are some of the cards that you can buy. The starting player, like I'll go ahead and get out my cards here for yellow, because I play yellow whenever I can. These are your, that's what your character will look like. Looks like a little Indiana Jones person. And I think a big reason I like this game too is because I like the theme, because Indiana Jones is one of my favorite movie series. And you even have a cool little Indiana Jones fedora right there for the, this is the first player token, which I really like. But these are your starting cards. So you get, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so yeah, one interesting thing about this is a lot of deck builders, your starting hand is 10 cards. In the Quest for El Dorado, your starting hand is 8 cards. And you start with 1 sailor, which is an oar. You start with 3 explorers, which are machetes. And then you start with 4 travelers, which are coins. And the artwork is really cool. Like, I like the artwork a lot on these cards. You can see it there. And the little sailor. But the artwork's cool. You use the cards to buy better cards to move, and you have to have a card that equals the full value of that tile. So I can't play 2 single machetes to get to through a double machete space. So that's why you have to buy the better cards to upgrade. And then it is indeed, unlike Downforce, this is a race to the finish. You are trying to be the first one, or get to El Dorado, which is shown in this tile here. So you can either have it surrounded by water or surrounded by forest, like that. And if there's a tie, it's whoever has the most of these right here. But it is a fun game. It's, again, fairly quick. This one runs in at 30 to 60 minutes, and that sounds about right. I feel like 45 minutes is probably good for this. Again, right in that sweet spot. We really like games in that range, and I like a racing game. I like the theme. I like Indiana Jones. I know there's something, I just saw something similar theme, not quite similar game, but similar theme to this come out recently, and I want to check that out. But this is a game that if you like deck builders where you're doing something else. So we kind of talked about that earlier with Clank. And I mentioned it when I did my Clank review, that there was a game coming that was going to be another deck builder where you're doing something else. This is a deck builder where you're trying to race along these tiles to get to the end, to get to El Dorado. It's just such a cool concept to me, where you're not just using the cards, to buy better cards to get victory points, or use cards to buy cards to necessarily just defeat an enemy. Using cards to complete objectives or to race across a map is just such a cool concept. I really, really like the game. The component quality is good. It has nice little tiles. Again, like I said, I like the first person token. I like the art on the card. Even this, like, the colors pop out at me. Even, and not partially colorblind, I don't have a problem. When I play this game, I do not have any problems knowing what space is what. And that is a huge thing for me. A lot of times when you play games with colors, you might be like, oh, what is that space? I can see everything really, really well on these tiles. So that is a huge plus. Great job, Ravensburger, and everybody who designed the game. In at number 13 on my top 67 games of all time, The Quest for El Dorado from Ravensburger. Number 12. So far on this list, we had a racing game, then a dice rolling placement game, then a racing game, and go figure, we have another dice rolling and placement game here at number 12, Role Player from Thunderworks Games. And this is a game where it's such a cool concept. So I've never played a role-playing game before, an RPG or tabletop RPG. I've never played one of those before. However, what this game is all about is the character creation portion of a role-playing game. And I think that, it appeals to a lot of people, being able to create a character. And the way you're going to do that is, you go ahead and open this up here. And now I do have some extra content in here because I do have the Fiends and Familiars expansion already in my box. But I will mostly just be talking about the base components. And I really want to start, though there's so much content in his box already. I want to start with the regular player boards. Let's go ahead and grab one of the originals. Yep. So this is what your board will look like. And in this one, this is a dragonkin. So your character is basically a dragon. And you have stats in strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. And you will be given an alignment card. And this is your classic, how do they describe it? Good and evil on one side, and then lawful and chaotic on another. So, you could be lawfully good or chaotically evil or anywhere in between and neutral. And so this is one example of those cards. And the gold stars are where you want to be. You earn points for that. If you get on the other stars, those are how you can lose points based off your alignment if you're in the wrong spot. And there's so many, you're probably never going to play with the same alignment card because they give you a bunch of alignment cards. And they all have, a little bit different they have a different title, and then where the stars are. Everybody's going to be given one of those. Everybody is given, of course, a player board. Don't want those yet. Where else do we? Oh, yeah. Everybody is also given a class and a backstory. And these are the cards I want? Yep, backstories. So here's our backstory cards. And these are so many. You have Bookworm, Dreamweaver, Haunted, Caretaker, Devoted, Brawler. They're just different things you can get. They give you a little story on them. They also tell you where they want one of each of the colors of the dice placed on your board. So that shows you where they want stuff placed. And what that's referring to is this area right here on your board. You're actually going to have this down on the table and then put dice in here. And I'll show you how you're going to get dice in a little bit. Oh yeah, here's your classes then. And these have extra ones in it because it does have the expansion. But what you will do is, I believe the way it works is you draw a die out of the bag, and whatever color you draw, if nobody else has chosen that color already, you get your class card based off of that color, and then you get to choose one side or the other. And what it does is it tells you in what it wants your numbers for your stats to be. So in this case, the Ranger wants your stat to be somewhere between 14 and 15, your Dexterity 16 to 17, your Constitution 18, which is the max number it can be, because you have 3 dice in each stat. 3 times 6 is 18. Intelligence 14 plus. So as long as it's just over 14, Wisdom 15 to 16, and Charisma 14 plus. And each one of those is worth a different star value. So you can see the 14 pluses are only worth 1 star, but the 18 exact is worth 4 stars. And stars are victory points at the end of the game. Each class also has a specific skill. In this case, the ranger can gain 1 gold after using a skill card, and golds allow you to buy other cards. Each one of these will have something different. So there is so many different combinations between your class, your alignment, and your backstory. Those are all cards that you get at the very beginning of the game. Now, you will also be doing, you will have these cards. Let me go ahead and grab these for, like, let's say 3-player. You will have these cards out for a 3-player game. In this case, it would be like this. So you would have like these 3 cards out. The person who's first player will draw 3 dice out of the bag and put them in ascending order from 1 to 3. So lowest on the 1, the highest on the 3. And then you would draft those dice and these cards. And this is like this is your initiative, which is, a thing in role-playing games. So this will decide turn order for the rest of that turn. So the first player gets to choose the dice and which one they want, but then after that it goes by these cards. So if you got the lower die, you got the higher card. You got the higher die, you got the higher card. And if there's ever ties, the first player, the person who's placing the dice, gets to choose. And what you're trying to do is get, not those, where are the, oh, here they are. You get these cards. And these cards have different powers on them. They allow you to get stars. Some of them have different sets. Let me see if I can find a set here. This is the Mystic Cloak. There is a Mystic Armor set. The green or blue classes get extra victory points if they collect the Mystic set. There is a couple different sets in here. Let's see if I can find another one here. That's Mystic. Here's the Chain Tunic. This each set also has a different number of pieces in the set. This one wants to be worn by red or white, and they get extra victory points for that. But you have different. This one is like a weapon that takes 2 hands to hold. You have traits, which can give you different powers or score you different ability. I think those score victory points most of the time. You have skills, which give you powers, but to do that, you have to change your alignment. So you can see the down arrow. That means you have to move your alignment down towards, in this case, I think south is evil on the way the grid is worked out. If you cannot move down on your alignment track, you cannot use that power. There's also cases where when you buy the card, in this case, if you paid 5 coins for that card, you would have to go up on the alignment track when you take that card. Again, if you cannot go up on the alignment track when you take that card, you cannot buy that card. And they just have a bunch of different abilities. Like I said, some allow you to manipulate your dice, some allow you to get victory points, to do different things. That is the cards. But at the heart of the game, what you're doing is, and that's like all the extra stuff, this is your board. The players draw dice out of the bag. I'll go ahead and open up the bag here. It's not wanting to open. There we go. You have, going to get some dice here. Go ahead, set that aside. You have all these dice right here, and they come in a bunch of different colors. And you have to put those dice, working from left to right on your board, in spots. If you have, whatever you draft, if say you drafted this as a 3 green, you have to put a 3 green somewhere on here. And now remember, your one card shows you where you want to specifically put some of those dice. It doesn't matter always. Now some of the powers or some things might want you to do more than that. But also when you put it in a specific row, it allows you to take a specific ability. So you can change a die face from one side to its opposite side. So if it's on a 2, you could change it to a 5 or vice versa. This one allows you to, dexterity allows you to swap 2 dice on your board. Constitution allows you to turn one die face up 1 or down 1. And intelligence allows you to re-roll 1 die and accept the new die roll. Wisdom allows you to move in any direction, north, south, east, or west on your alignment track. And Constitution gives you a $1 off credit for the next time you buy something. No, it's Constitution, I'm sorry, Charisma. It gives you a $1 credit. But you will eventually, throughout the game, you will fill up your entire block of 18 dice. And when you put a die in this area, you get gold. So that's why that has a gold border versus the other two. I'll go ahead and try to zoom in there so you can see the gold border there. And it's just a game of character creation. You're trying to hit your goals that you have on your class card. They give you the points there. You're trying to get as many stars as you can. You also have these bonuses. So like in this case, you have strength +2 and dexterity -2. So dexterity for, like, if I had Dragon Skin Ranger, that would be very hard because my dexterity would be -2, but I have to get 16 or 17 to get the stars on that. That means I would have to get 18 -2, which would be 16. So you just have to see how your class and your race combine to make, certain things. And you're not always going to complete. I'm sure there are players who can do it. I don't know if I've ever completed all of those goals on a single turn or a single game. Again, I'm sure there are players who have done it. I don't think I have. But that is the game of character creation with dice placement and dice rolling and drafting. Number 12 on today's list, Role Player from Thunderworks Games. Number 11. In at number 11 and rounding out today's video is a series of games that is very thematic at the moment, and that would be the Pandemic series from Z-Man Games. But more specifically, in this case, I am going to be talking about Pandemic Fall of Rome. And what this is a standalone version of Pandemic. This is not compatible with Pandemic or any of its expansions. This is a standalone game. They've made a lot of standalone games. They made Reign of Cthulhu, Iberia, Rising Tide, Fall of Rome. They're all slightly unique. Again, I've talked about this a lot along this list. I love games with a Roman theme. This is a Roman-themed Pandemic. And it has a map of ancient Rome and their territories. And this is the board. It's not a big board by any means. But that's your board right here. And instead of viruses or diseases, you have these tribes that you're going to take on. There's 5 different tribes. You have the Anglo-Saxons and Franks, which are these ones right here. You have the Vandals, the Huns, the Visigoths, and the Ostrogoths. And they will be coming from these encampments down along paths, working their way slowly towards Rome, right here. Each one has 2, okay, I take that back. Not each one has 2. Most of them have 2 paths. Oh, I guess that one does go. That goes that way, and this one comes down that way, and it goes over there. These ones come a couple different ways. They're all eventually leading themselves towards Rome. As they say, all roads lead to Rome, right? They're trying to get to Rome and sack it, which is sacking a city is like having an epidemic in regular Pandemic. But you have legions. These legions help you fight back against the barbarians. And so the legions are similar to your cure ability in Pandemic. But this game is a little different. Whereas in Pandemic, you go, I want to cure Chicago. It has 2 cubes in it. I need to cure Chicago. I go to Chicago. I spend 2 actions. I take 2 cubes off the board. It's not so easy in Fall of Rome, because what you have to do is to clear barbarians, you have to go to the city. You have to have legions with you. And for each legion you have, up to 3 legions, you roll these dice. And these dice have different symbols on them. Some of them have cubes on them that allow you to remove a barbarian. But some of them have legions on them. And if you roll the legion, instead of removing the barbarian, you remove a legion. And so you could have 1 cube on the board and 3 legions. If you roll 3 dice, you roll 3 legions. You remove the 3 legions, you don't remove any cubes. And so that's a really interesting aspect to this game. And it adds a luck aspect. It adds a dice rolling aspect. Again, I love dice rolling games. Rolling with Roc is the name of this channel after all. And again, with a theme of Rome, with the Roman aspect and the dice rolling for the battling system, on a small map, on a map that looks, I mean, it's small, but it has a lot of cities on it, that it is based off of ancient Rome. It has these different barbarian tribes that are trying to sack Rome. It makes this, in my opinion, for me, by far and away the best game in the Pandemic main series line. All the regular Pandemics. We're not talking Legacy in this number right here. We're not talking Legacy. We are talking Pandemic, its expansions, all its standalone games. My favorite out of all of them is Pandemic Fall of Rome. A couple weeks back on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/rollingwithroc, I did a live playthrough of this game where I came very close to winning. I did a solo playthrough. I came very close to winning and just ended up losing. And the way you can win or lose this game is if you get too many decays, which are like, this track is similar to the Outbreak track in regular Pandemic, except there are other ways that this can go down as well. When you use your event cards, you can actually take on corruption, which is, very fitting for Rome and Roman politics. You can, if you get all the way to the bottom of the decay track, or the decline track, not the decay track, the decline track, Rome falls. You can also get overrun by barbarians. If you ever run out of any barbarians to place on the board, you lose. And if Rome gets sacked, you lose. The really interesting thing is about this as well is at the top here you have the recruitment and invasion track. So this is like the infection track in regular Pandemic. You start off only flipping 2 cards at the end of your turn. Eventually you go to 3, and then 4, and then 5. But when you're low on the track, you have a high recruitment. When you take your recruit action to get more legions, you get 3. But as it goes down to 2, and then eventually to 1. So not only are you flipping more cards, as this goes higher, are you flipping more cards, you're going to be able to recruit less legions. And so the game really turns against you as it progresses. So the best way to win the game is to try to win it fast. That doesn't always work. It's very hard to do so. But if you want to win this game, you do not want to let this progress too far away. And to win, this is the coolest thing about this game. To win, you do not just have to cure all of the diseases or all of the tribes. The way the game works is you forge alliances. That's like curing the disease. To forge an alliance, you discard a number of cards equal to the number down here for each tribe. Each tribe is a little different. The Ostrogoths only need 3. The Anglo-Saxons and the Huns need 4 cards. The Visigoths and the Vandals need 5 cards. And that's because there are more cities and therefore more cards in the deck for those tribes. The Ostrogoths only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then Roma, so 6 total cities in the game, where some of those other tribes have a lot more. To win, you either have to form an alliance, cure a disease, so form an alliance with a tribe, or have none of that tribe's cubes on the board. It's not eradicating them, it's just they're not on the board at that time. You have to achieve one of those 2 options for all 5 tribes. So you could forge an alliance with 3 of the tribes and then clear tokens for the other 2, or in any combination of 0 to 5 for each of those things. You could forge an alliance 5 times. If you can do that, great. I don't know if you can, but you can. You could somehow clear all the cubes off the board. Again, I don't know if that's possible, but if you can do it, you can do it. And that's how you win Pandemic Fall of Rome, by either forging alliances or clearing the cubes of all 5 tribes. It is a great game. It feels really thematic. Like I said, the farther it goes on, the longer Rome goes, the harder the game gets, the more corruption you get, the less people you are able to recruit to your cause, the closer the barbarians get to the gates of Rome. It feels so right. And I haven't played a Roman game yet that makes me feel like you're playing a Roman game more than this. And it's just at its heart, yes, it's Pandemic. But the fact that you have the dice, you're rolling, you have, it's still cubes, so it's just like your diseases there. These are what your city cards look like. That's one for the Huns. Here's one for the Ostrogoths. So they have the different colors on them. Of course, you have your player aid like that. It's still a Pandemic game. If you've played Pandemic and you like Pandemic, it's very possible you will like Fall of Rome. I won't say it's not a direct correlation, because there is differences. Like, some people won't like the dice rolling aspect for clearing off the barbarians. I get that. That's not going to be for everyone. For me, I love it. I absolutely think it is a great addition. But I understand that not everybody is going to enjoy that aspect. So they might prefer Pandemic, just regular Pandemic, where you say, taking an action, I'm removing a cube. Whereas this one, you have to roll. But I really like that option in Pandemic Fall of Rome from Z-Man Games, in at number 11 on my top 67 board games of all time. Now it's time for the recap of today's video. In at number 15 was Downforce from Restoration Games. 14, Kingsburg from Z-Man Games. 13, The Quest for El Dorado from Ravensburger. Number 12, Role Player from Thunderworks Games. And number 11, Pandemic, the whole series, but specifically Pandemic Fall of Rome from Z-Man Games. Thank you guys so much for checking out today's video and checking out all of my ROCtober content. Remember, if you are subscribed to this YouTube channel and you leave a comment on any ROCtober video, that gets you 1 entry into Board Game Trick or Treat. If you leave a comment on every video in ROCtober, you're going to get an entry for every one of those comments. On Halloween night, we'll be doing Board Game Trick or Treat, so go ahead and join us for that. Remember, tomorrow will be a ROC review. Wednesday will be numbers 10 through 6. Thursday will be an unboxing of Hues and Cues from the Op. And Friday will be numbers 5 through 1 on my top 67 board games. I'm so excited to finally get those numbers out to you. Let you guys debate, see what it is. Go ahead and burn me in the comments. It's perfectly fine. I'm totally ready for it. I hope everybody is excited for that. We're going to probably be doing an Among Us stream on Saturday night. Hopefully in costumes. I really want to try to get that done for Halloween. And then, of course, every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, I go live on Twitch playing either board games on the table solo. Hopefully, sometimes I'll be able to play games with my wife, playing digital games with friends, or, whatever we can do. We almost all, I think at this point I've done a board game every Sunday night. I might end up doing some other digital stuff, but I even have some stuff on the Switch and other digital games on Steam that I can do as well. So I hope you'll join us for all of that. Make sure you are subscribed to this YouTube channel, leaving likes, leaving comments, sharing with your friends. All of that is super appreciated and really helps me grow. I am still very small in the terms of YouTube and on Twitch, so anything you could do to help spread the word about Rolling with Roc means the absolute world to me, and I thank all of you for your views and your likes and your shares and your comments. It is amazing, and I wouldn't be anywhere without all of you. So thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you look forward for the rest of the week, the ending of ROCtober 2020. Thank you guys so much. This was AJ from Rolling with Roc, and you're watching ROCtober.